Welcome to a spirited debate. I'm Lauren Green. Well, despite a blistering snowstorm headed to the Northeast Corridor, the 43rd annual March for Life will take place this week in the nation's capital. The peaceful gathering of tens of thousands protests the 1973 Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion. Today, abortion is still a hot-button political, social, and emotional issue. According to a new Marist survey commissioned by the Knights of Columbus, more than 8 in 10 Americans say they support certain restrictions on abortion. Well, another article criticizing the survey claimed that most people were unaware of more than 300 state-level restrictions already on the books. Sue Ellen Browder is a writer and author who has been on both sides of the abortion debate. In her book, Subverted, she tells of how, as a freelance writer for Cosmopolitan magazine, she, quote, helped the sexual revolution hijack the women's movement by soft-selling unmarried sex, contraception, and abortion to young single women as a right that would set them free. Sue Ellen joins me now from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Sue Ellen.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. You know, I've seen a lot of different polls showing a variety of stances on abortion, and the results vary according to kind of what kind of questions are asked. You know, the narrative is so important in the abortion issue. Who controls the narrative today, and is it different from who controlled it back in the 70s?
Well, the narrative is controlled largely by propagandists, public relations officers, and the media. That's who controls the narrative today.
And what is that narrative today?
The narrative today is that the feminism movement is the pro-life feminists, which is what the March for Life is. The pro-life feminists are the ones that are a backlash to the real feminist movement. We're maintaining, and it is true, that this is the authentic women's movement. The March for Life is representing the authentic women's movement of the 21st century.
And why is this a women's movement, the March for Life? Why is that a women's movement and not the stance for abortion and contraception?
It was always, mothers have always been at the forefront of the women's movement. The suffragists gave us the right to vote. They were pro-life. Betty Friedan in the early 1960s, before the women's movement was hijacked by the abortionists, she was pro-life. We are pro-life today. We are the pro-life women's movement of the 19th century, the 20th century, and the 21st century. I tell the whole story in my book, Subverted.
Now, what kind of stories did you write for Cosmo and other magazines that sort of sold the abortion, sex, and contraception?
Well, women were jumping in bed with, you know, total strangers on the first date, or with somebody they met in Paris, blah, 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 blah. It was all, a lot of these stories at that time, this was in the early 1970s when Ellen Gurley Brown was there, a lot of those stories were invented. They were actually not true. We made them up.
Wow, very interesting. Well,
yeah.
And as I said, there's plenty of passion on both sides of the abortion debate. You know, one sign at a rally for abortion said, if you don't like abortion, don't have one. So doesn't that make sense? And what would you say to someone like that?
Well, I think the whole abortion debate, the dialogue has been misdirected. We need to realize that this is an abortion, that we are fighting for love between the mother and the child, and also that abortion hurts women inside. At first it doesn't seem like a big problem perhaps to some people, but later it haunts them. And that's the problem that we're having here today, is that women need to speak up and say abortion hurts women.
So, you know, what made you become pro-life? What made you come out against abortion?
Well, I was an old Cosmo girl. I converted to Catholicism at 57. And as I began to look at all of those things that I had been doing and how it had damaged women so terribly, and how it had damaged families, men, children, and women. And it took me a long time to come to see the pro-life side of the equation. I had had an abortion, and you have to remember, 1 in 3 people that you meet in this nation today has had an abortion or has participated in one in some way. So we've got a very abortion-wounded nation, and we have to heal that.
You are appearing at the March for Life in the conference. What have you been talking about?
I've been talking about how the pro-life feminist movement is the authentic feminist movement of the 21st century.
All right, I want to thank you so much. Sue Ellen Browder, thank you for being here, and your book is called Subverted. And thank you for watching A Spirited Debate. Thanks so much, Sue Ellen.
Thank you.